Welcome. This is a product overview of ComplianceForge's Secure Engineering and Data Privacy Program, which we call the SEDP. Over the next few minutes, we will walk through what it is, what problems it solves, exactly what is included, and how it operationalizes both security by design and privacy by design. The SEDP provides cybersecurity and data privacy-focused SDLC guidance to implement a program-level governance function. It takes a holistic approach to baking in NIST 800-160 cybersecurity and data privacy practices. It supports evolving requirements for secure system development practices, and it delivers immense time and cost savings, enabling your subject matter experts to implement those practices in your development lifecycle processes. Regulations like GDPR and CCPA/CPRA expect you to build security and privacy into your systems from the start, not bolt them on later. If an assessor asked how security by design and privacy by design actually work in your development lifecycle, could you show documented practices or just good intentions? Most teams know they need this, but lack the time and specialized knowledge to write it, leaving a gap that consultants fill expensively. The SEDP gives you a running start. An editable program-level framework grounded in NIST 800-160 for security by design and OASIS for privacy by design, built to embed secure practices across your SDLC. It gets you roughly 80 to 90% of the way there, and then your team tailors it to your development processes and tooling. With the EU General Data Protection Regulation effective in 2016 and the California Consumer Privacy Act, now the California Privacy Rights Act, companies have an obligation to demonstrate they implement both security by design and privacy by design. Unfortunately, most businesses lack the knowledge and experience to undertake such documentation efforts. That means businesses are faced to either outsource the work to expensive consultants or ignore the requirement and hope they do not get in trouble. In either situation, it is not a good place to be. The good news is that ComplianceForge developed a viable cybersecurity and privacy program based on NIST 800-160 guidance for security by design and OASIS for privacy by design. The SEDP can serve as a foundational element in your combined cybersecurity and privacy program. It can stand alone or be paired with other ComplianceForge products. So what exactly is the SEDP? It is designed to support your company's existing policies and standards. The solution is focused at the procedural and guideline levels, where it straddles the territory between an organization's centrally managed policies and standards and its decentralized, stakeholder-executed procedures. The SEDP serves as expert-level guidance, meant to run a specific capability or function within your cybersecurity department to help communicate user needs and system characteristics to developers, integrators, sponsors, funding decision-makers, and other stakeholders. It is intended for cybersecurity, privacy, engineering, and product teams that need to demonstrate security by design and privacy by design, as required by GDPR Article 25, CCPA, and CPRA, NIST 800-160, the OASIS Privacy Management Reference Model, and similar frameworks. The SEDP also serves as evidence of due care for boards, customers, and regulators who increasingly expect these practices to be documented and operationalized rather than implicit. The SEDP addresses the how questions for how your company ensures both security and privacy principles are operationalized. It is a reality that most companies have either weak or non-existent guidance on how security or privacy principles are implemented, and that lack of operationalized principles can lead to compliance deficiencies, with many statutory, regulatory, and contractual obligations. NIST 800-160 is the gold standard on how to build security into the system development lifecycle. The concept of secure engineering is mandatory in numerous statutory, regulatory, and contractual requirements, and the SEDP provides a paint-by-numbers approach to ensure your company has evidence of both due care and due diligence for operationalizing security and privacy principles. The program is based on numerous frameworks, but the core principles come from NIST 800-160 and the generally accepted privacy principles, which are the de facto standards on security and privacy design principles. The SEDP is a one-time purchase of editable Microsoft Word-based documentation templates. There is no software to install, no agent to deploy, no account to provision, and no cloud environment to configure. If your organization can open and edit Microsoft Word files, the SEDP is ready to use. It is delivered as fully editable Word files, compatible with Word 2016 and newer, Microsoft 365, OpenOffice, LibreOffice, and Google Docs. The SEDP includes built-in styles, tables, and diagrams that are ready for customization. Documentation is delivered via email download link within 1 to 2 business days of purchase, often the same business day. There is no installer, no license server, and no activation step. And it is a one-time purchase. A single entity license is included, with no recurring subscription requirement, although an optional update subscription is available. This deployment model is intentional. Secure engineering and privacy program documentation belongs in your organization's own hands, inside your own version control and document management systems, rather than locked inside a vendor's SaaS tool. Once delivered, this product belongs to you. The first problem the SEDP solves is a lack of in-house security experience. Writing cybersecurity and privacy documentation is a skill that most cybersecurity professionals simply are not proficient at and avoid at all cost. The SEDP is an efficient method to obtain comprehensive guidance documentation to implement cybersecurity and privacy principles within your organization. The second is compliance requirements. EU GDPR requires companies that store, process, or transmit the personal information of EU citizens to ensure that both cybersecurity and privacy principles are built into processes by default. Can you prove how cybersecurity and privacy principles are implemented? The third is audit failures. Security documentation does not age gracefully like a fine wine. Outdated documentation leads to gaps that expose organizations to audit failures and system compromises. And the fourth is vendor requirements. It is very common for clients and partners to request evidence of a security program, and this includes policies, standards, and procedures. Please keep in mind that security and privacy engineering principles are widely expected activities. They appear in the EU, GDPR, NIST 853, DFARS and its NIST 800-171 requirements, the Federal Acquisition Regulations, NISPOM, SOC 2, the New York Department of Financial Services, PCI DSS, the CIS Critical Security Controls, and the Generally Accepted Privacy Principles. The first is clear documentation. The SEDP provides a comprehensive approach to operationalizing both cybersecurity and privacy principles, which equates to a time saving of hundreds of hours and tens of thousands of dollars in staff and consultant expenses. The second is time savings. It is a templated solution that requires minimal resources to fine-tune for your organization's specific cybersecurity and privacy needs. And the third is alignment with leading practices. The SEDP is written to support leading cybersecurity and privacy frameworks. Cybersecurity and privacy do not need to be hard. The SEDP is meant to simplify how security and privacy can be operationalized in a paint-by-numbers approach comprised of editable Microsoft Word and Excel documentation so you can customize it for your specific needs. So what do you actually receive? The SEDP comes in both editable Microsoft Word and Excel formats and is capable of scaling for any sized company. The Word document provides program-level guidance to directly support your company's policies and standards for ensuring secure engineering and privacy principles are operationalized. The Excel checklists provide a wealth of experience to bake in security and privacy principles by establishing methodical and repeatable processes. They cover logically organized phases, task focus, showing how tasks support the lifecycle phases, task numbers, activity descriptions, and reasonable task deliverables, mapping to leading practices, including NIST 800-160, NIST 853, ISO 27002, and the OASIS Privacy Management Reference Model. Level of effort expectations, and a stakeholder RACI matrix, covering who is responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. Now compare that against the two alternatives for obtaining quality cybersecurity documentation. For your internal staff to generate comparable documentation, it would take them an estimated 310 internal staff work hours, which equates to a cost of approximately $23,500 in staff-related expenses. That is about 4 to 6 months of development time, where your senior cybersecurity and privacy staff would be diverted from operational duties. If you hire a consultant to generate this documentation, it would take them an estimated 200 consultant work hours, which equates to a cost of approximately $60,500. That is about 2 to 3 months of development time for a contractor to provide you with the deliverable. The SEDP is approximately 15% of the cost for your internal staff and approximately 7% of the cost for an external consultant to generate equivalent documentation. The program itself is $4,235. The SEDP is built to be evaluated before purchase. PDF examples of both the policies and standards and the checklists are available on the product page, so you can assess the quality and structure of the documentation before placing an order. So how much work is left for you? Here is the customization process at a glance. ComplianceForge aims for approximately an 80% solution because it is impossible to write a 100% cookie-cutter document that can be equally applied across every organization. Security and privacy by design depend on your specific development lifecycle, technology stack, data inventory, and regulatory environment, so the remaining work is fine-tuning the SEDP with the specific information that only your organization knows. In practice, customization is filling in the blanks, adding your company name and logo, naming actual role owners, such as engineering leads, privacy officers, and architects, tailoring the security and privacy by design review gates to your existing SDLC, calibrating data inventory references to your actual personal data landscape, and integrating the SEDP with the project management and change management workflows already in place. If you want a hand, ComplianceForge offers optional professional services. They are not required to customize ComplianceForge documentation. The 5-hour bundle may be beneficial for companies that need some guidance on getting started with how to tailor their documentation. The 10-hour bundle is for companies that need additional guidance on tailoring their documentation to meet their compliance requirements. And the 20-hour bundle is for companies that need robust services beyond just 10 hours to assist in tailoring their documentation. Purchased professional service hours expire 120 days, or 4 months, from the time of purchase if unused. Hours are intended to supplement, not replace, your own customization work. There are more reasons to buy. The SEDP is focused on understanding risk associated with cybersecurity and privacy, so that risk can be reduced, avoided, transferred, or accepted. Implementing both security by design and privacy by design principles is a systematic way to find and address weaknesses, flaws, and risks to your company. Repeatable, methodical processes that seek out both security and privacy risk reduce the chance of surprises. And addressing security issues in an orderly manner gives your company a better assurance that gaps have been closed properly and as quickly as possible. Work smarter by leveraging common touchpoints between cybersecurity and privacy. System security engineering delivers systems deemed adequately secure by stakeholders. The fundamental relationships among assets, an asset-dependent interpretation of loss, and the corresponding loss consequences are central to any discussion of system security. This is where aligning your company's security by design efforts with the risk management framework can be very beneficial, since the RMF provides a well-established format to securely engineer and maintain systems throughout the entire lifecycle of the asset. Utilizing common linkages, privacy by design is incorporated into the RMF cycle. This graphic illustrates the risk management framework's secure lifecycle, highlighting the integration of security by design and privacy by design principles. ComplianceForge took on the heavy lifting to integrate security and privacy controls into standard project management processes. This allows your teams to have a paint-by-numbers approach to demonstrating that both cybersecurity and privacy principles are baked into the process. We identified the stages where both cybersecurity and privacy requirements are expected as part of project development, which can enable your teams to work more effectively together and reduce the negative effect of teams working in silos. All too often, when projects are commenced, involvement from key stakeholders is siloed, as compared to operating as a cohesive team. The SEDP helps your company avoid the pitfalls where project and application teams work in a vacuum, unaware of security or privacy concerns. Where privacy and security conduct their own assessments, without any information sharing or collaboration. And where security involvement is viewed as a final hurdle to overcome, just prior to go live for the project. Understanding privacy and security starts with defining requirements. This process is all part of documenting reasonable expectations to right-size the approach, since every organization is unique. The distilling process covers applicable best practices based on your company's industry, such as ISO 27002, NIST 853, SOC 2, and operational technology and Internet of Things. Statutory obligations from state, federal, and international laws, such as the FTC Act, FERPA, COPPA, and state ID theft laws. Regulatory obligations from regulatory bodies or governmental agencies, such as the EU GDPR, the New York Department of Financial Services, and FISMA. And contractual obligations from vendor agreements, such as DFARS and FAR, Privacy Shield, and PCI DSS. Security by design requirements come from numerous sources. In this context, the most important are the International Organization for Standardization, the National Institute for Standards and Technology, the U.S. government through HIPAA and FedRAMP, ISACA, the Cloud Security Alliance, the Center for Internet Security, and the Open Web Application Security Project. Privacy by design requirements also come from numerous sources. The most important are the Fair Information Practice Principles, the EU General Data Protection Regulation, OASIS, the Organization for the Advancement of Structured Information Standards, the International Organization for Standardization, NIST, ISACA, and the U.S. government through HIPAA and the FTC Act. Finally, the data-centric approach. Thinking in terms of data or information, it is your company's most valuable asset. Therefore, being data-centric is how ComplianceForge approaches the defense in-depth concept. If you envision data protection as a set of concentric rings, at the center of the protection is your data. Here are those concentric rings of protection at a glance, with your data at the center. If you have any questions, please email support@complianceforge.com or call 1-307-241-8740. We've been helping organizations since 2005, and we are always happy to help.